Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. For the last video of the year, I decided to share with you what I think most of you would like the most out of the monthly challenge videos that I did this year. So for those of you that don't know what the monthly challenge is, it's a free group that I have on my art journaling community journal workshops, which is where I host my online classes, but also where we have a community and we do activities every month. The main ones that we have every month are the monthly challenge that gets posted at the beginning of every month, and an art swap group which we do mid-month. So this year, rather, for the monthly challenge group, we've done squishy messes, we've done abstract paintings where I shared a trick to make abstracts that you really love, and loads of other things besides. So what I decided to share on this channel was an old school Jenny Belly recycled journal tutorial. Actually, I have it in here, I'll show you. So it's so super duper old school Jenny Belly. I was making these 15 years ago maybe, and it uses a lot of the techniques I used to use making my recycled journals. So I wanted to share this with you guys that I didn't see on the monthly challenge. If you want to join that group, I'll stick a link in the cards and in the description below. It's free, my site is free, and those activities are free as well, and there's a few free classes on there as well if you want to take those. But the monthly challenge is where a few of us get together every month just to create something together and to see how each other respond to a particular criteria. And we also have giveaways as well on this, so you are all welcome to come join, and I will see you guys in the new year. Welcome monthly challenges, and it is a really fun journal. It's very me, how I started bookbinding, so I hope you guys love it. And once you've made these juicy leatherette looking recycled journals, you need a cereal box, by the way, for the base of the journal, a cereal bar box or something of a smaller nature box. So it can be coffee pod boxes. I've got coffee pod boxes that are about the right size. It could be pasta boxes, it can be any kind of boxes that you have. Now let's get to it. Okay, my lovelies, here you want to fold your cover to see how you want your journal to close. And if there is like a natural fold to the box that you aren't going to be using as one of the hinges of your journal, you want to cover it with a piece of cardboard just to give it a bit more strength, because if something already has a fold in it, then it's a weak point. And so I just like reinforcing that if I'm not going to be using that fold as an actual binding, I suppose, or folded part to my journal. Okay, this is a very old school Jenny Belly thing, making leather looking journals or scrunchy looking journals. And I have here some brown parcel paper that, you know, is just out the recycling, and I'm scrunching it lots and lots and lots, because the more you scrunch, the more kind of leather looking
look, the more leather looking look you get to your journal cover. This is coming up. so I'm just layering random brown colours, no rhyme or reason really. The different colours. Normally, if I wanted to be more methodical with it, I would not do such contrasting colours as what I did, such a yellow tone and then a bright red that I did. But I just wanted to add some layers underneath this brown, which is the original brown that I painted it with. I want to be the main colour because I want it to look a little like leather. So I'm just going to dry brush. This is an old makeup brush that I never used for makeup, so I've pulled out some of my old makeup brushes. These are nail art brushes. Aren't they cute? They're little glitter mermaid brushes. And they've just been sat, you know, in makeup bags for years, not doing anything. So I've added them to my art stash, because why not? So I'm just going to build up the colour with this brown, and then with a darker brown I'm going to go over and pull out and see how it gives it. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but it gives it a lot more look of leather, a lot more dimension, a lot more going off. I'm trying, where I've added this strip, to keep this natural fold taut. I'm trying, because it's raised, to not kind of highlight that is what it is, if you see what I mean. I'm trying to, so I'm highlighting all this stuff and not go over the lines too much. I mean, if you're bothered about that, I wasn't so bothered about that, but if I would have been, I'd have built up more of the scrap brown paper around the edges to soften so that it diffused it. So if you want to be a lot more precise than me, I'm kind of being a bit gung-ho about how I make this journal, to be honest, even for me. But you know, sometimes that's just how you want to create. Okay, a bit more around the edges, I think. Make it a bit darker. And now I'm going to fold it, because as you can see, now I've done that, the edges have got, these edges have got some extra, but this one doesn't, so as the journal's going to be folded that way, over the edges we go as well. These folds that you make. Ooh, and that one's just torn a little bit, so add more paint on those edges to protect as well as disguise them. Oh, actually, I'm going to do the inside. Duh. Do your inside of your journal, don't forget the inside. Go over with my finger, trying to not cover everything, but you know, if I get everything, I get everything. Just try to pull out bits and bobs. That looks like a tree, doesn't it? Tree roots. Or tree trunk, rather. one thing I am going to do on the inside is just cover these lines a little bit, because I'm going to, you don't see them necessarily too much because they're the lines that are going to get, actually, well, that one's going to be covered over completely. This one's going to have a signature of paper sewn into it, as is this one, so you're not really going to see them, but I just want them to be more brown than white, so it's not obvious if you do happen to see them. Now we need to cover our inside covers. I haven't decided what I'm going to cover mine with yet. To keep in line with a recycled journal, I think I might just use something like this, you know, recycled book page, something actually recycling. I might grab something either out of a recycling bin, or I've got these pretty lovely tea boxes, so I could cut out the images and kind of do a patchwork effect. These are also cardboard, so it will make it even stronger, but you've got to remember that anything that you add as well is going to add the bulk. So I might not do that, given that this is already going to have 2 signatures sewn into it, and its spines are very slim. You know, if it had a thick spine on it, it would be able to take more bulk. So I don't think I'll do that. I think I may do a patchwork effect. Now I've thought of it though, that might be a cool way to use up some scraps. You know, just whatever's in my craft supply. I think I might do that because there are so many. Mind you though, I kind of want the same colours. Yeah, but there's a lot of scrap papers in my stash that I'm sick of seeing. You guys ever get this? You know, they're the same papers again and again and again because I haven't used them. These things again and again and again, I haven't used them. But I might keep with the tradition of it being a recycled journal and find something else. Okay, there is this old children's book that at some point I bound. I think I might use this and kind of patchwork these images. Though I want to find images. Okay. I want to find images that go with the antique-y colours, the leather looking colours. I don't think I can quite fit that one on. It's a wonderful image though. That fits quite neatly actually over the whole thing. Okay, so I originally painted these because I was going to cut a piece of paper this size to fit in this one, and then a piece of paper that size to fit in that one, and a piece of paper that size to fit in that one. I think I'm just going to stick them down as is because the paper isn't that thick, so it will fold with the journal as it moves, as long as I, you know, stick them down well enough. So I think I'll use this matte Mod Podge to do that. And I'm not too bothered about these either, these holes. Let them be. That's such a great image. I am going to use that one day. You will see that. You will without a doubt see that in a journal page one day. That's just awesome. Could use this paper that I initially put in that journal as well. What a way to upcycle an old upcycled journal. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So you want to put the glue on the reverse of what you're sticking. Then you want to stick it on the surface itself too, like this here, cover it totally. And then once you've stuck them together, get your fingers in if you can't get into all the nooks and crannies. When you've stuck them together, you want to pull out the excess glue, because there's excess glue now underneath here. You don't just want to stick it down. You want to draw the excess glue out. And use it. I didn't wait for my cover to dry, my paint to dry totally, so I've got a little bits of colour here and there, but that's fine. Yeah, you want to go over the top of it as well to really seal the deal. It'll be there forever now. Okay, so I could stick, yeah, let's do that. Okay. And then draw out the excess glue. And scrape it over the top, removing any and all air bubbles. You guys, I think, will do a much better job at decorating your covers than I have, but I'm just doing mine to show you how to do it. I'm expecting you guys to far exceed me in your creations, so make sure you post them. Remember, post them and you'll be entered to win any class of your choice next month. And also, if you're going to be doing the art swap this month, you might as well post your pictures of what you're swapping in this group too, you know, so that you get that entered into that giveaway as well as sharing with us what lovely journals you're going to be swapping. Oh my god, you guys. I just did at least 10 to 15 minutes of talking to the camera, going through the next stages, etc. And the camera, although it was turned on, I didn't hit the record button. So I now need to backpedal to figure out what everything it was that I said. Okay, so everything is now dry. I started there. The tea stained pages that I've got, I really like these splodges that you can add. I mean, it takes longer for it to dry, but I prefer some interest to just the plain, you know, uniform look to it. And you get that via pushing the tea bag down and letting it pool and allowing it to dry like that. So I have some of those areas on my pages just because, you know, I like it. I think aged paper would colour more uniform, you know, that's why we use book pages that all look the same colour, but for some reason, I don't know, this feels more feels more oldie worldy to me. I don't know why, because it would just go all nice coloured together, but anyway, I like it, and that's how you get it. The next thing I was going to say is that I'm going to bind the journal first, and this is a dual signature, single signature journal. This is a very typical old school Jenny Belly tutorial, bookbinding tutorial, where there's a twist on it, where you're not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. So that's what this journal is, and I'm going to bind it first, and then I'm going to do my favourite old school closure, which, I mean, when I first started bookbinding, was honestly my favourite way to close any journal I made. So I'm going to, because there's a couple of ways that you can do that closure, I'm going to do the binding first so that I've got an idea of how the journal looks once it's done, and then I can decide what I like best with the closure. So as you can tell with this, when you stick it down as I showed, the creases go nice and, you know, even. So first of all, what you need to do with your paper is determine your paper grain. Now, I'm not going to go through that in this video because I have done tutorials on YouTube on that, and if you are a student of any of the bookbinding classes, there'll probably be a tutorial in there for you guys as well. So I won't waste time going over that here. You can check that out elsewhere. But what you do want to do is figure out the length of the longest, well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can figure out the length of the longest part of your journal. Mine is 6 inches, but you want to give it a bit less. You don't want to overstuff the journal, and you also need the paper a little space to bulk up at the binding. So you want to go a little bit less. So calculate the length, the longest part, and then reduce it a little bit so you've got a little bit of wiggle room. Or what the other thing you can do is just go via the paper that you're going to add as your signatures. You can just get as many pages out of it as you can and allow for all the ends to be different, allow for all the sizes to be different. So, you know, this page ends here and that page ends there, kind of thing. You know, if you don't want them to be uniform. If you do want them to be uniform, you need to go via the cover. If you don't, you can go via the paper. Does that make sense? Okay, so mine is 11, because it's 6 inches that way, and I'm going to go about 5.5 times 2. You need to times it by 2 because obviously you're folding it over to make a signature. It will be 11 inches. And this way is about 5 inches is good. So I'm going with my paper grain, and I'm just going to calculate 5 give me something to mark. 5 inches. 5 inches. And I'm tearing my paper because that's my preferred look, if you haven't gathered by now. If you don't want torn edges, you can, of course, cut it properly, cut it neatly. I'm somebody that likes the rough edges. Okay, so that's what it will look like, and as you can see, there's a bit of space here. If you wanted to, you could use up that space a little more, but there is also a reason why I want a gap on these here, which is to do with the dual signature, which I will show you in a moment once I've done the rest of my pages. Okay, next you want to count how many pages you have and divide them by 2. So out of my 3 sheets, I got 9 pages. So you want to put them into a signature. Like so. So I have 5 for that side and 4 for this side, which is about right, because when you look, we're getting pretty fat, because journals, or it's a tempting thing with journals is to just pack them full of pages, but you've got to remember that every piece of paper you put in is times 2 pages and times 4 sides. So although I'm putting in 9, I'm actually putting in 18, and that is actually 36 sides I've got, you know. So yeah, I'm going to give a very light brushing to the edges, just so they aren't looking so white, because obviously you tear paper, it doesn't matter if you've tea stained it, the inner core of the paper is still white. So again, you guys probably going to be very more methodical and better about this than I am. I'm just gung-ho whacking it, doing it quickly. I know you guys, you're so going to be doing this and doing the business. So you want to hold your signatures together with something and put 3 holes in each of your signatures, obviously the same as what you're going to do on your cover. Now the easiest way I always find is to go from the middle, because then it doesn't matter that the length of the cover is different to the length of the signature, because the middle is the middle. You see what I'm saying? If you're gonna start in the middle, you're gonna get it right. So I had 5 inches for my signatures, so my middle is 2.5, and then what I did, you can do it or you can do it differently if you want, is I went 2 inches either side, because I like my binding to be quite close to the top but not too close. Oh, my belly is so full from food, guys. It was yummy. I'm super full. Okay, so you want to poke holes in everything. Just make sure on your cover you try to get it exactly on the crease. because if it's a bit out, it's visible, it's noticeable, and it affects your practicality of your journal a little bit. So you want it as bob on as you can. Eee, that went quick. The same goes for your pages actually. Try to always get it in the crease. So as you can maybe see here, I was a bit out with the dot, so I made sure I went with the crease, not the dot. Forget the dot. If you do the dot wrong, forget the dot. Go with the fold to make sure it's perfectly in line. Next you want to choose what thread and needle you're going to use. I'm going to use this bookbinding thread, which is usually made out of wax linen. As you can see there, wax linen thread, but it looks a little bit leathery, so I'm going to use this one. You don't need bookbinding thread for this. The reason why you need wax linen on a usual bookbinding project is because you're going through a lot of pages, so you need it. And I can never see where there we go. Right, first time. And you just need a little bit over 2 widths or lengths of your signature. You start in the middle, go over to one side. Make sure you hook into all your pages. Go over to the last one. Pull tight, make sure it's always tight, back into the centre. And once it's really tight, make sure it's either side of the middle bit, and then you tie it off. As you can see, I don't like to, to waste my thread, so I cut it really close. If you need more length to knot, and you go over one way and then over the other way in just a normal shoelace knot to tie it. So left over right and then right over left. As I say, if you need a little bit longer length to tie, if you haven't got such nimble fingers or you just need that extra length, go a little bit more, but I like to keep it close because obviously the more you cut off, the more you waste. So just over 2, and a little bit for comfort. If you wonder why you do this with wax linen thread, it's because you're warming up the wax so that it's easily movable. I don't know what the word is, but it's very stiff like this, and you're just warming the wax on the thread a little bit doing that. Okay, so in the middle, you can, if you want to, here's a note, if you want to, rather than going from the middle, you can go from the edge and put beads on and danglies and tie it here, or tie it at the top if you wanted to go from the top and put danglies on it, or even just put beads on the edge. If you are doing this as an art swap, I would say don't do that. And also, as somebody who's put plenty of beads on plenty of spines and worked in thousands of journals, it can get a bit irritating. So if you're swapping this for somebody, they might not want to work in a journal because you've put beads on the spine and it's a bit awkward for them, and that would be a shame. So I'd say leave beads and charms and things off. But at the same time, you can tie it on this side if you want, and instead of doing my closure that I'm going to show you, tie it here and then just wrap it around. I've done that 1,000 times on a journal as well. So, and then put beads on the end to make that look kind of pretty. So there is options for some creative license here, guys. You do not have to stick. Where's my hole? Did I punch that hole? I can't even see that hole. I did punch it. Yeah, you don't feel like you've got to stick to exactly what I do. Go with your creative flow. Okay, and if you pull it out and it's two's on the wrong side, just flip one of them under. Tie it really tight. You want to tight, 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 tight. No slack. And then right over left and left over right and right over left and left over right. I like to do about 4. In fact, I like to do a lot more than 4 because I have this inner, I have to overdo and secure things like crazy pants, you know. I'm one of those types of people. I'm doing 4, try and limit myself. Because again, if you've got a huge knot in the middle of your journal, it can be a bit irritating for using. And here we go. You want to see the magic of this journal? That page, and then 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 that page. So can you see why I left a little bit? So that you can see and grab it and it's not right in the crack of it. Ugh, so annoying. Okay, so because I have 5 this side, I've got an extra one, unless I did it wrong somewhere, but you can do it as you want. You can have loads on this side and, you know, do it as you want to. Okay, when you've put your pages in how you want them, you need to kind of wiggle them and squish the journal a little bit, so that, because otherwise it can be a little bit like poofy, like that. You'll understand, you know, like there's got a gap there. You'll understand when you do it. You just want to kind of massage the pages into the way that you want them to be, so that they aren't poofing up, you know, too much. But you'll figure it out once you've put your pages in. You know, just want to manipulate to tell them, this is how you're going to go, dude. This is your job. So you want some cereal box cardboard, and you want to pick some kind of unusual paper, I guess metallic, as if it's metal, or I had some suede. I went with the shiny stuff instead. And you just want to cut enough for what you have decided what sizes you want to make your circles. Now, I decided I want both a small penny and a 2p piece size. I keep coins in my studio because I find I always defer to them. It's just easy peasy to make sure all circles are the same size when you're doing stuff like this. You can, you don't need two different sizes. You can just do the same size if you want. I just, when I was testing out different sizes, liked the look of the big and the small together. And you want to make sure, because this is a usable object, this is a practical piece, you want to make sure you stick down the paper onto the cardboard really, really well. So I used Eileen's tacky glue, the Old Faithful for that, and then I'm just going to go around the edges. Go on, sink in, sink in, sink in, sink in, sink in, sink in. And why I'm giving you sound effects, it's just the mood I'm in. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, this is where my favourite Old Faithful crocodile tool comes in, and I just eyeball the middle. Because, you know, you're gonna pretty much get it bang on. They're so small. And I'm going to use some eyelets, if I remember how. It's been a very long time since I've used any eyelets. Really, really long time. So I may go small eyelet, colourful rather than metallic. I was going to go metallic, but I may go like this colour. Yeah, I may do that. I can't decide which way round I want it. I think this way is more obvious, but the other way seems to have a bit more character about it. Yeah, I'll go with my original way. Okay, so I'm going to get it right, you just decided. But I put it kind of where I vaguely think I want it, mark it, and then measure it right. So So it's 1, so it's about here, so it's along this line here. And I wanted it about there, so I'll go in to a point where I can duplicate it down here. So it doesn't matter where you place them. I'm not going to give you my measurements because your measurements might be different, but what you want to do is make sure that it's equal at your top and at your bottom. So that's my line that way, and this way I went here on that one. Okay, so just look at it to check, put your thing on to make sure you're happy with that. Or even Stevens, does it look okay? I'm going to take this one down a little bit, and then get your dandy. If you don't have this, by the way, you're going to have to try and do your best with a hole punch, or another kind of punch, or an awl. It just won't look the same, and you won't obviously be able to use eyelets, but there's all kinds of tools that would substitute. I honestly barely remember how to do this. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to use a different eyelet because these little babies, look at the difference in the size of the back, doesn't go through, so I need to choose a different eyelet. Didn't even occur to me to look at that. The size, let me just check that they'll go through. Only just. That may have just decided that I have to have bigger eyelets in them all. Let's see. It's an only juster. Let's see how we do. If I have to remember right, it's this way. Screws. Whew! It worked. Phooey, phooey, phooey. I may have to do larger ones on these little ones as well, unfortunately. Serve me right for not checking this sort of stuff. What supplies I have. But it works alright. So we're good to go. Oh, bloody hiccups. Okay, given that I had to use the gold, bright shiny gold eyelets, I'm going to make use of that and use this bright shiny gold glittery thread, and I've just pulled out some gold danglies. Got hiccups. Okay, the thing with this is you don't want a thick thread, so that's why I'm not. I've got hiccups real bad, and you don't want to knot too many times, which is why I'm not using this one because it's too thick. you want something quite thin that can slip. Excuse the hiccups. I hate hiccups so bad. You want to be able to stick it behind, and you want to be able to knot it without it having too much too much of an effect. So I'm just doing one simple knot. And I'm cutting this one off, tucking it in. And then you just go boop. Oh, God grief. Back around. I tend to do about 3 times, and then you can cut this off. Some lovely jubbly dangles, and same on the other side. And there we go. Danglies on, journal done. So, all you do to open, and mine's still a little bit, you know, it needs to get used to being flat like this, so you can stick it under something, some heavy books or something. And the reason why I said not to put beads on the binding, because it can get annoying, but it's okay to do them on the closure, is that you open up your journal, you're working in your journal, and these are well out the way, you know, so it's not that irritating. Okay. Oh, I did that an extra loop. Oh, it works, it works. Make sure you post pictures below of your journals to be entered into the monthly challenge giveaway, and also post suggestions for next month's challenge, and that will get you a free collage sheet if I pick your suggestion. Oh, that works as well. Okay, an extra loop, that works. Yeah, cool. La 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 la. Happy with my new journal.
I left mine under a book for about 2 hours maybe, and as you can see, it went fairly flat. Okay, so I really hope you guys like this single signature, dual signature journal, and I want to see your pickies. Have an awesome rest of July, and I'll see you very soon for August. August monthly challenge. Ooh, bye.